The hospital parking lot buzzed with chaos, flashing lights, shouting guards, and the echo of thunder rumbling in the distance. The rain had just stopped, leaving the ground slick and shining beneath the streetlights. A little girl stood near the entrance, her small hands clutching a stuffed bear, tears streaking down her cheeks. "Please," she cried, "they won't let my mommy in. She just wants to see my daddy." The security guards at the door barely looked down. One muttered, "Ma'am, visiting hours are over," while another turned away. Shaking his head, her mother, Lena, stood drenched beside her, hair plastered to her face. "My husband's in there. He just got hit by a car. He's dying. Please, I need to see him." But the guards didn't move. Rules were rules. The little girl sobbed louder, hugging the bear tighter. That's when the deep growl of engines filled the air. Everyone turned toward the road, out of the darkness. Headlights cut through the mist. One, then two, then 6 motorcycles rolling in side by side, chrome gleaming beneath the hospital lights. The sound grew louder, thicker, until it rattled the glass doors. The guards straightened, unsure what to do. The bikes came to a stop right in front of the hospital entrance. The riders dismounted in unison. Leather jackets, boots soaked from the rain, patches shining red and white under the glow Hells Angels. The biggest of them, Ryder, pulled off his helmet and looked down at the little girl still crying beside her mother. "Who made her cry?" he asked, voice calm but cold enough to freeze the air. The guards exchanged nervous looks. "Sir, this is private property." He stepped closer. Private property where a child's begging to see her father? No one answered. He crouched in front of the little girl, his tone softening. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Through trembling lips, she whispered. Maya Ryder nodded gently. "And your daddy's in there?" She nodded, sniffling. "They said my mommy can't go." Ryder stood slowly, turning toward the guards, his calm replaced with quiet fury. "You boys want to rethink that?" Ryder's voice cut through the night like thunder. "You boys want to rethink that?" The guards hesitated, glancing at each other. One tried to stand taller. "Sir, visiting hours ended 2 hours ago. Hospital policy." Ryder took a slow step forward, rainwater dripping from his jacket onto the polished floor. "Policy?" he repeated, his voice calm but sharp. "You're really going to quote policy to a woman begging to see her husband one last time?" Lena clutched her daughter's shoulders, trembling, unsure what was about to happen. The guards looked uneasy. They'd seen Hell's Angels before, but not like this, not quiet, not still. Not waiting. Tank, the gray-bearded biker beside Ryder, leaned closer to one of the guards. "You think she's here to cause trouble? Look at her. She's soaked, scared, and holding a kid. You got hearts or badges in there." The younger guard's face softened, but his partner muttered, "We could lose our jobs." Ryder's jaw tightened. "You'll lose a whole lot more if you stop a mother from saying goodbye." That's when the hospital doors slid open, and a nurse stepped out, eyes wide at the sight of the bikers. "What's going on here?" Ryder turned toward her, his tone gentler. "This woman's husband's inside hit and run. They won't let her see him." The nurse looked at Lena, then back at the guards. "Room 406? Lena nodded through tears. The nurse swallowed hard, then straightened her shoulders. "Follow me." Ryder smiled faintly. "That's what I like to hear." The guard stepped aside. Silent now, Lena held her daughter's hand tight, whispering a shaky thank you as she passed. The angels didn't move, and they just stood there, a wall of protection behind her as she disappeared down the hallway. Minutes later, the little girl came running back, tears streaming down her cheeks. But this time, she was smiling. "She's with him." She said, "Thank you. Thank you for helping." Ryder knelt, resting a big, gloved hand on her shoulder. "You don't thank us, sweetheart. You just take care of your mama, okay?" The girl nodded, her tiny voice breaking. "I will." Tank looked at Ryder as they walked back to their bikes. "You think she'll make it in time?" Ryder stared up at the hospital's glowing windows. She already did. When they rode off, the sound of engines filled the night again. Not noise, not rebellion, but something deeper. A promise. The guards who had blocked the door moments earlier still stood frozen, watching the little girl cling to her mother. The rain started again, soft this time, tapping against the glass like the world itself was holding its breath. Ryder and the angels waited by their bikes, helmets in hand, engines idling low like growling thunder, ready to strike again if they were needed inside. Through the glass, they saw Lena kneeling by her husband's bedside. The man was pale, tubes and monitors surrounding him, but when her hand touched his, His eyes fluttered open. She whispered something they couldn't hear, a tearful smile breaking across her face. The little girl pressed her hands to the window, watching her parents. She made it, she whispered. Ryder crouched beside her again, his voice gentle. Told you she would, kiddo. The girl turned toward him, her tiny voice trembling. Are you real angels? Tank chuckled softly behind him. Depends who you ask. Sweetheart, Ryder smiled faintly. We ain't got wings, but we show up when we're needed. The hospital administrator, a man in a suit who had come down after hearing the commotion, walked out. Looking embarrassed, sir, he began awkwardly. We didn't realize the situation. I'm sorry for the trouble. Ryder's eyes were calm but unflinching. You don't need to apologize to me. Apologize to that little girl. The man looked down, ashamed, then knelt beside Maya. I'm sorry. Young lady, I should have let your mama see your daddy right away. The child nodded gravely, accepting it with the simple forgiveness only children understand, as the angels prepared to leave. Lena came running out the hospital doors, breathless but smiling through tears. He's awake, she said, voice cracking. He's going to be okay, you. You saved us, Ryder shook his head. You saved him. Ma'am, we just opened the door. She stepped forward, hugging him tightly before he could protest. Thank you, she whispered. I'll never forget this. Ryder smiled softly, resting a hand on her shoulder. That's all we ask. Just pass it on someday. When the angels finally rode off, their engines roared through the night, not as a warning, but as a promise that somewhere out there, when someone was crying for help, they'd come again. Maya stood under the awning with her mom, waving until the red taillights disappeared into the storm. Mommy, she said softly. The angels ride loud. Lena smiled through her tears, pulling her daughter close. Yeah, baby, so the world knows they're coming. Minutes after the angels rode away, the hospital lobby was still buzzing with whispers, nurses, security guards, and even patients peeking from their rooms. Nobody could believe what they'd just witnessed. The men everyone feared had been the ones who stepped up when no one else dared upstairs. Lena sat beside her husband's bed, holding his hand as monitors beeped softly around them. His eyes fluttered open fully now, weak but aware. You made it, he whispered. She nodded, tears spilling because of them. He blinked. Who? She smiled through the tears. The angels downstairs. The same security guards who'd blocked her were helping the nurse set up a donation box near the front desk. A quiet promise to never turn someone away again. And taped to the box was a child's handwritten note. For people who need to see someone they love, Maya. The next morning, a rumble echoed again outside the hospital. Not from chaos, from respect. The angels had returned, but this time they weren't there to fight rules. They were there to deliver flowers. Ryder walked through the doors with a bouquet of lilies and a folded card. He handed them to the nurse. For the lady upstairs, he said softly. Tell her the road's still. Watching over her, the nurse smiled, eyes misty. She said you saved her family. Ryder looked toward the hallway where Lena's room was. Nah, he murmured. We just reminded a few people what family means before leaving. He spotted Maya playing in the waiting area. She ran up and hugged his leg tightly. Mommy said Daddy's coming home soon, she said with a grin. Ryder knelt, his voice low and kind. That's 'cause you were brave. Kiddo, you made a lot of big people remember what's right. She held up her teddy bear. He says thank you too. Ryder chuckled. Tell him we said ride safe. Then he stood, nodded to the nurse, and walked back toward the sunlight. The roar of engines rose again, loud, proud, and free, echoing through the streets like a promise that goodness still rode among them. Lena watched from the window upstairs, her daughter waving beside her. Mom, Maya whispered, eyes wide. Do you think they'll ever come back? Lena smiled, her hand on her heart. They never really left. If this story touched your heart, share it. Because kindness doesn't always wear a smile, and heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes, they walk in covered in dust, carrying stories that could change your heart forever.